Yo, what up, everybody? This is Nothing But Bangers, aka MVP, aka Bangers, aka I'm back with a video that is going to be talking about the brand new spoilers from the newest Pokemon Pocket set. Now, real quick, I just want to let you know, like, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm gonna probably either I'm probably gonna try to push this video out minimal editing, and then after that, I'm trying to get this Christmas album done. I know it's crazy. I know you probably don't even think I'm serious. I know that came out of left field. But yeah, your boy is trying to do his own Christmas album. So yeah, I'm working on it. Bear with me. But anyway, so let's get into these Pokemon Pocket cards that we saw released. I got a ton to say. So let's just dive in. The first thing that I'll start with is like Mega Charizard. Obviously, the fact that it does 250 and one hit KOs everything in the game, including every new Mega. And assuming there's no tools or extra supporter cards, like just assuming like a straight up one-on-one, I think it KOs literally everything in the game. So with that in mind, that's going to be the appeal, right? But the thing is, in my opinion, this is just tremendous bait, right? The thing is, like, this thing has, just assume that it has 170 HP, right? So 170 HP, and then it's got to sweep, right? It's got to win the game right there, right? Because if it doesn't win the game and you get counter KO'd, you just lose on the spot, right? Okay, so let me just highlight the good parts and the bad parts. The good parts, the thickness, right? 220, that's great, right? 250, that's amazing. 2 retreat, that's reasonable, right? Everything that's good about the card. But the bad thing is it's going to deal 50 recoil, and there's not really a way to offset this outside of like leftovers or like anything like brand new that they bring to the game, really. Now, you could have things like, you could have extra cards like Giant Cape, you could have extra cards like Blue, whatever, but like just as a one-for-one card, you just have to look at this for what it is. And just understand that like this is tremendous bait, right? And the reason why this is bait is going to be things like Greninja are just going to really like put this card in a weird spot, right? Greninja is going to be able to ping it and like bring it out early, or it's going to be able to ping it and put it into one hit KO range as soon as like Charizard hits the active. So like you're just in a weird spot playing this card. But like obviously the tremendous high roll of this card is just like, oh, you played double flame patch and you high rolled with Moltres and you rare candied and you just swept your opponent. Like that's great, and like that's gonna happen and you're gonna lose to that, and like, oh well. But the thing is, like, the main weakness of this deck, in my opinion, is gonna be one prize decks. One prize decks are gonna destroy this deck, in my opinion. And the reason for that is like everything that's a one prize deck, that's a 1 point deck, right, is just going to be able to trade with this very well, right? And like even when Mega Charizard deals at 250, it's just like, oh great, now I'm at 170 and like I just got 1 point, so like 2 more points to go, and you're still stuck at the active. So like it's just it's just tremendous bait. And again, you're gonna lose games to it. I'm gonna lose games to it, like sure, but like it's just straight up as like a competitive card, like winning tournaments, like I don't. Is it fair to say this may be the worst Charizard? Is it fair to say? Is that a hot take? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But that's just my thoughts on this card. Going to Mega Venusaur. Now, obviously, Mega Venusaur. I love Venusaur. That is like the one thing that some people know me for in Pokemon Pocket is Venusaur and Exeggutor. Played it literally like first month of Genetic Apex of the game and won a tournament with it, made a tournament report about it, and like it was awesome to do, right? Because the whole thing about the idea, the main focus behind that deck was like prize mapping and trying to make your opponent go 1-1-2 with like thick Pokemon like Exeggutor at that time, right? So like that groundwork laid kind of like the skeleton for like so many deck ideas and like so many like ideas of prize mapping that people do now, and like it's not even like really like it's just accepted, like we just do it, right? But like in the infancy of this game, and even though they're very good Pokemon players from the TCG, and there are other players that like I even mimic from, like I took the idea of like the 3 Exeggutor and 2 execute from somebody, so like we all like learn from each other. It's not like one person owns these ideas, but just like figuring out how to make ideas work in Pokemon Pocket, from like just like fundamentals of trading card games, right? And like when you talk about Mega Venusaur, Mega Venusaur is really interesting, and a lot of people look at it and probably like like rightfully kind of write it off, right? Like Mega Blaziken lined up in a Mega Venusaur, like it's tough work, right? Like you got to think, if the Mega Blaziken is in the active, and then Mega Venusaur comes in and hits it for 120, then Mega Blaziken's in trouble, right? But if Mega Blaziken is able to come in first, or come in second, and then attack the Venusaur, then Venusaur is like on life support, even with something like a Lily or an Erica. And then you have to also factor in the fact that this Venusaur does not heal itself on the attack. So I think that if you're going to be playing Venusaur, it's probably going to be, and I know this is going to be, it's crazy. I don't know that you're going to be like really playing it with a lot of success at all. Like, but if you're going to have success with it, in my opinion, I think it's going to be from the fact like this attack is like pretty reasonable, right? Like it poisons and puts you to sleep. So like unless they have like Pokemon Center Lady, unless PCL comes out like a lot, or unless it can evolve, right, or unless it KOs, like, you know, that puts a lot of weird strain in some games. So like the attack is not to be scoffed at, and like make no mistake, you will lose games to Mega Venusaur EX as well. But as far as like the starters, I don't think that Mega Venusaur has like much of a chance. And I, you know, the only compelling argument that you could give me is like basically like playing it alongside stuff like Lily, right? And you know, I've been an Executor fan for the longest, but like, you know, maybe there's a world where you can play like a baby Pokemon, the Lilligant package, and then the new Grass Evolution card with Venusaur. But again, like I just don't, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on, and I don't know that it's like really that good, right? Like, and so that's kind of the issue. And then what happens in those games where your Bulbasaur, like you know, you have the Mega Venusaur and you're just like, all right, screw it. And, you know, you use the item card that evolves your Bulbasaur to Ivysaur, and then you draw, you know, your Petal and you're trying to evolve Lily, and like, you can't do it. So like, I don't know. There's like weird choke points in that deck too. So I don't know. But with Copycat out, I mean, hey, I don't know. I wouldn't just put that idea away. Okay. But anyways, yeah, that's Mega Venusaur. Could be decent, but I don't think it's going to be tier 1. I don't think it's going to be tier 1. But again, there could be a compelling argument for like just a big boss Venusaur. But again, I just don't know that it's going to be thick enough. And especially like, you know, if I'm complaining about Greninja, you know, pinging stuff like Charizard, I mean, you know, hey, it's the same kind of complaint here. Like if Greninja is able to kind of ping this into some reasonable range along the way and like bring it in early with Cyrus, you know, that's a problem, right? So we'll have to wait and see. But as an individual card, I do think that it also can kind of like, it deals 120 plus the asleep and poison. So like that's what makes it like respectable, right? Like think about Blaziken. Blaziken does 120 for 2 energy, right? So keep that in mind. Like that's a big difference. But just talking about the attack, like you can make Blaziken's attack work in a lot of things, right? So like that's what I'm trying to say with Mega Venusaur's attack. You can make it work, but again, I just don't know like that the deck is going to actually be able to work, because like the other thing too is like Blaziken may destroy this deck, but Blaziken may be like pretty bad into everything else. So like it may not matter. And Charizard, like I just said, Charizard is not very good. So like again, it's in a weird spot, right? Because the weakness may not really matter, because the decks that play fire may not be like very good. So I don't know. Keep an eye on this one for sure. All right, so I may have saved the best for last when it comes to the Megas that we know so far, because Mega Blastoise has an interesting case that it can make for itself. So let's talk about the card individually. So like 230 HP, it's a Mega, so obviously it getting KO'd is a game-losing situation, but the attack is 3 energy for 130. So 3 energy for 130, yeah, that's decent. It's not like it's discarding and like needing to reattach, so like that's reasonable. But here's the thing that we need to make sure that we understand about the text of the attack. Triple Bombardment says, if this Pokemon has at least 3 extra water energy attached, this attack does 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So what that means is, let's just say that you have 5 water energy attached to your Blastoise and 1 electric energy, because you chose to ramp with something like a Pichu, okay? Or maybe you're playing dual energies. But anyway, so because you have those 5 water, and you have that 1 other energy, you meet the requirements to have the 3 extra water energy attached. Now, you may be wondering, like, MBB, how do you know this? Like, because it's the same text as the Genetic Apex Blastoise, and like literally, I just tested it myself. So like, yeah, what that means is maybe there's a case to be made for Big Man Blastoise, right? Like maybe you can make the case that Blastoise is something that you can play alongside Greninja, right? As like an upgrade to something like a Suicune, or upgrade to something like that they've been playing in the past, with, you know, Giratina, etc., whatever. And granted, it is going to give you more bricks, but what if the trade-off is that, hey, you're playing Mega Blastoise alongside Greninja, so you can't just like auto lose the game with like Greninja EX getting KO'd, right? If they knock out both your Greninjas, then they finally have to knock out the Mega Blastoise, right? So like, there could be a case that could be made for playing a deck where you play Rare Candy, obviously you play Blastoise, you play Greninja, and maybe you play baby Pokemon to ramp the Blastoise, right? Ramp the Squirtle. That could be a case. Another case could be made that you just play the baby Pokemon alongside Squirtle and Blastoise, right? Like that's just, you just play all the ramping Pokemon, right? And you play stuff like May, or you play stuff like the new supporter that fetches a Mega, right? And you just say, hey, I'm going to thin my deck, and then I'm just going to try to sweep with Mega Blastoise, right? Because everything that's going to KO Mega Blastoise, it's going to need 2 shots outside of Charizard. And I'm not worried about Charizard because Charizard just kind of sucks, right? You could try to go that route, right? And again, you will lose games to Charizard, and you will sit there and be like, I thought MBB said Charizard sucked. But like, theoretically speaking, if you have the Iridas, if you have the Cape, if you have the Blastoise, like that's a lot, man. You know what I mean? Like that's a lot to overcome. And then even again, like just hitting Blastoise on curve with a baby ramping is pretty nasty, right? Like you go first, you ramp the Squirtle, you go, you know, on your second turn, you Rare Candy, you attach an energy, you know, and now you're on 2 energy, your baby's just stuck in the active because you can't attach unless you get another basic Pokemon on the bench. But you're pretty much like ready to go, you know. Your Mega Blastoise is almost online. And, you know, you can make the argument, hey, maybe you just hold off on the Rare Candy. So again, like out of these 3, I actually think Mega Blastoise might be the best out of these 3. Now, don't hold me to that. Obviously, we're working with limited knowledge, but that's where I'm at right now. When you start taking a look at some of the other cards, there are some interesting things that I would want to point out. Like, for example, obviously we got new starters, like the new Bulbasaur has a 1 energy attack, it's 60 HP as opposed to 70. Something to keep an eye on for you Bulbasaur/Venusaur enjoyers. We do have new options with the Squirtle with 70 HP. Then when you go on down here to the Trubbish, you've got a new Trubbish, and that makes me think, hey, are we going to get a unique Trubbish, maybe a unique Garbodor? That is potentially game breaking. Like Garbodor is one of those cards that you always want to be mindful of. Like you never know how good a Garbodor could be. It might be something that disrupts tools or disrupts abilities. Like it definitely something to keep an eye on. Then you also have Serena. Now Serena is going to put a random Mega Evolution Pokemon in your hand, and this is a supporter. So again, this kind of goes into that idea of that big man Blastoise deck, right? So that's kind of where you're starting to see a little bit of that synergy. Now, when you start looking at some of these other cards, Clemont is another supporter. Put 2 random cards among Magneton, Heliolisk, and Clemont's backpack from your deck into your hand. So let's just say that you only play 2 Magneton. It's just going to put 2 Magneton into your hand. So yeah, really good. And like this just highlights what I was trying to say about one prize decks. Like I didn't even bring up the point that Magnezone, a tremendous 1-point deck, right, with Oricorio, gets better with this card. And so like again, I just think Mega Charizard is bait. Like I don't know, is that a hot take, dude? Is that a hot take? And I didn't even ask you, what do you think is the best Mega that we've seen so far? Because again, I think it's Blastoise, and I don't know, I may be in the minority. So this is my favorite card of the set, Quick Grow Extract. In my previous videos, a long time ago, I talked about evolution pill cards. And if you have been around, you may remember, right? These are some of those item cards. So this is very interesting because this is type specific. This is only for grass Pokemon, but you're going to choose one of your grass Pokemon and play and put a random grass Pokemon from your deck that evolves from that Pokemon onto that Pokemon to evolve it. You can't use this card during your first turn or on a Pokemon that was just put into play this turn, right? I wonder if that's going to supersede Eevee, right? That's the one thing that we got to understand there, right? Like, how does that interaction work? I actually don't know because I don't know the TCG ruling in that. But we will need to know, like, hey, can my Eevee that can evolve on the turn that is played, does that also apply to, like, item cards, right? Or does it only apply to, like, if I have the Pokemon? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I kind of want to see how that works. What do you think? How do you think that's going to work? I'm very curious. let's talk about the implication of this card. Why this card is good. This card is really good at making your stage 1 grass Pokemon pop out on curve and you finding them more consistently. You are essentially playing, if you're only playing like one stage 1, right? Only one stage 1 in your entire deck. So there's only one thing that this card can trigger. You basically play 4 copies of a stage 1, right? So you're basically playing a 2-4 lineup when you play cards like Quick Grow Extract at a 2. Now you could even manipulate this even more by playing an EX and a non-EX form, right? So like you could play a deck with like 2 Executes, 2 Exegutors, 2 Executor EX, and 2 Quick Grow Extracts, and basically say, yeah, I have 6 cards that I can draw to force my on-curve Executor, and that's without cards like May, that's without cards like Lycia, and that's without cards like Pokecoms, right? So like you can already start to see like, hey, MBB, Executor EX and Executor is trash because Blaziken literally just punches it into infinity. And I love that because obviously I'm a Blaziken fan. But if you can like envision an idea where like you're just playing a grass stage 1 to just like splash in your deck to like as a boost, like maybe Lilligant, you know, like if Lilligant made all of your Pokemon have 20 HP, you could definitely like start to see some different, you know, synergies there, right? So you just kind of have to think of this card as like a combo enabler, right? Like it's going to enable your combos where you go like grass stage 1 plus whatever, right? You know, my grass stage 1 combos with this, you know, or has synergy with this. That's probably a better word, right? Or, you know, this Quick Grow Extract, it adds a ton of consistency to me curving my stage 1. And like, I need it. So like this card could be devastating in like alternate formats, right? Like if you play in some alternate formats where things are limited, like this card may be just turbo busted, right? But this card, the reason why this card is going to be like abusable is because it breaks game mechanics, right? Like it's evolving from your deck. Something that only, I think, Porygon like 2 does right now in the game. And if you've played with Porygon 2 or watched me play with it on stream, like it's a very fun card, right? But like the fact that you're gonna be able to do this with like stage 1s that are grass makes you wonder, okay, what stage 1s are there? Well, I actually already have them. So really quickly, let me just give you some stage 1s. You got Whimsicott EX, probably not very good, but like, you know, cool little novelty, right? Venomoth, okay, again, probably not very good, but hey, like, could you make an argument for this in like an alternate format with like no EXs or something? I don't know. I mean, it poisons for 1 energy. I don't know, maybe not. Then you got stuff like Serena that says your opponent reveals a random card from their hand and shovels it into their deck for 1 energy. You know, granted, that's a rare candy, right? Like, or you're gonna need to like play you're gonna need to play Quick Grow Extract at some point on the stage 1, right? Or on the basic to get Serena out earlier. And so like that's kind of why I've got some of the stage 2s in here. I've got the other Serena, right? Then you got Lilligant, and again, like each of your grass Pokemon get 20 HP, right? So like that's the big like hang up with like just splashing Lilligant. But again, you know, my other idea was like, hey, well, all these Pokemon are weak to fire, right? Except Jumpluff. So like I wonder, is there anything that you can do with Jumpluff, right? Where you can force Jumpluff out earlier and it's a cheap attack, and then you can pivot into, you know, another card. So like it does kind of like give some synergy with stuff like what was it, the little dragon Gloomy or whatever. So you know, you've got different ways that you can maybe work with this, but I think that like, you know, you have to ask yourself, like, is fire type real? Well, yeah, Blaziken's really popular because it's the easiest fire type to play. Charizard's gonna be popular because people love Charizard. But when people realize it's ass, is there opportunity, you know? But again, there's stuff with Leafeon, both the EX and the regular version. There's Executor. But again, like these are just some options. And I'm sure that some of you in the chat have more. Obviously, Dartrix and Decidueye. But again, there's a lot of interesting things that may be able to come out. And again, this is just the beginning and we haven't seen the full set. So like, keep this card in the back of your mind for the rest of time, as long as we ever see grass type Pokemon. Just like store it away and always remember it, because it breaks game mechanics and that is rare. Another card that you need to store away, and I don't think it's going to be good right now at all. I don't think anybody's going to really be able to like have much success. Like sure, there'll be some like one-off stuff, but like I think this card is going to be ass right now. But I'll tell you how it could be good. So this Ditto is 1 energy, copy a friend, and it basically lets you choose one of your bench Pokemon's attack except in any Pokemon EX and use it as this attack. If this Pokemon doesn't have the necessary energy to use that attack, this attack does nothing. The day we get Pokemon GX or Pokemon VMAX or whatever, this card gets a lot better, okay? So like if that ever happens, dust off your Dittos, bring them back out, because you're going to be able to copy a GX attack with this, because it's only going to include EX, right? Now, that's assuming we ever get GX Pokemon or VMAX Pokemon. We may never get them, or V Pokemon, V-Star Pokemon. So anyways, with that in mind, how else could you use this card? So obviously you could use this with cards like Rampardos, cards that have low energy attack cost that you can get a tremendous boost from, right? So it doesn't work with those like things like baby Pokemon very well, right? Like that's a big issue, right? Because copy a friend, you already have to pay the energy to activate the effect. So if you copy a baby Pokemon, you still paid an energy to do it. The only thing that you got out of it was the fact that this has 60 HP. So like those are really the only applications that I could think of right now. It could also be used as a Pokemon to poison, right? Like let's say you have Nihilego and Ditto, right? So now that you play the Ditto, you can have that extra poison attacker, right? And it's the same thing for Naganadel, right? Naganadel has a 1 energy attack when you evolve it from Poipole, if I remember correctly. So, you could unlock another poison attacker by using something like Ditto. So it's very novel. You don't get a lot of like mileage out of it, but that's just like, a little bit of the tech that you can use with Ditto. But again, you can't even use it as Oricorio technically. Like, I mean, technically you could, but imagine like you're playing Blaziken, right? And you play Ditto in your Blaziken deck and you're like, yeah, I'm going to knock out those Oricorios. Well, like what attack is your Ditto copying, right? Like the Torchic? You know what I mean? Like, so you already have to be playing like another piece of tech. So yeah, it doesn't really work. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's the thing that I can get out of Ditto. When you talk about the other cards, Charmeleon's kind of interesting because it's a stage 1 that lets you ramp. So we'll talk about that really quickly. So again, when you evolve it, the ability is once during your turn, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may take a fire energy from your energy zone and attach it to your active fire Pokemon. So this is why this card is bad. Okay. Let me start with this is why this card is good. This is why this card is good. This card is good because it now allows you to like get extra energy on the board and potentially retreat it. So you can get like more energy for your flame patch, right? Or so you can just fuel your flame patch in general. So like, this is a good card. And obviously like if you can ramp a Pokemon and get an attack off, like even better, dude. Like, oh my gosh, it just made my Moltres 1 more energy closer to attacking. Like that's great. Like the only reason why like this card may be bad is when your active Pokemon is not a fire Pokemon, right? So like you evolve Charmeleon on your bench and then you get no energy ramp. You're just going to feel terrible. So you almost are like pigeonholed to only play like fire type Pokemon. Unless you want like the very low percentage chance where you have Charmeleon evolving on the bench and like your active Pokemon is like a Chingling. You know what I mean? So like that kind of sucks, and that's a big deal. Like that because the main like appeal of Charmeleon is the fact that you get to ramp. So when you miss the ramp, you're just like, oh, I missed the whole point of the card. So like in an ideal scenario, it evolves on the bench, it ramps your active is able to then maybe ramp itself, or maybe like best case scenario, like absolute high roll scenario, you rare candy your active Charmander into Stoke Charizard, and then on your bench you evolve Charmeleon into evolve the Charmeleon, and you're just ramping, like I guess. But like, the other alternatives are just like, hey, you're probably putting it on like your other alternate attackers that you're pairing with Charizard. But again, I think Charizard kind of sucks. Okay. I mean, this card is cool, and I'm curious like what the other stage ones are, but I think it's just like not very good. Like, maybe this will be the first time that we play a stage 1 and we never play the stage 2, right? Or like maybe you just play Stokesard, right? Like maybe you play like Stokesard and something else, right? Because I feel like this benefits Stokesard just like a lot more than the Mega Charizard. I just don't think Mega Charizard is, like, has a chance to be very good. So I don't know. It's just my thoughts. Again, looking at the rest of the cards, like the Heliolisk is a 2 energy attacker for 120, but it discards. I think it's all energy. So like it's like just like an alternate Raichu, but it doesn't have Lieutenant Surge. So like it's definitely a card that I'm sure we'll see some play in alternate formats. I'm sure some people will try to cook with it. It's like a finisher, a 1-price finisher. But again, I just wonder, like, I don't know. Like, if you pair this with Magneton, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, if you're ramping with Magneton and its ability, and then you're, like, manually attaching to Heliolisk, you're dealing 120 and 110, 120 and 110. Like, that's nasty, dude. And then you got Oricorio. Like, obviously, you can see how Heliolisk can be good. Mareep, I guess that means we're getting another Ampharos. And then Mega Latios EX is actually ass. It's terrible. But again, Heliolisk, kind of interesting. Also, like, I know that some of you are still processing all the cards, just like I am. But if I remember right, yeah, there is synergy with Clemont. So, in that Magneton Heliolisk deck concept, you do have a little bit of a butting heads when you talk about the idea that you may want to be fetching a Magneton, but you may get to Heliolisk when it comes to Clemont. So it may be, I don't know how you approach that, but like, yeah, I mean, as a 1-price deck, like, that's very aggressive, man. That's very aggressive. You're evolving on curve, potentially, like, very consistently, and then you're also doing a lot of damage, 110 and 120 when you talk about Magnezone and Heliolisk. Like don't sleep on that. So again, that's just my breakdown of this set so far. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna try to get this video out like literally like right now, like it's 6:31 Central Standard Time. So all right, let's go. I'll catch you later. Please subscribe to the channel. Please keep watching the videos. It helps me out a ton. And until next time, peace.